Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Jennifer Olize with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jennifer.
Good morning, Dr.
How are you?
Good morning, Aya, and good morning, Rufai. I hope
Jennifer.
everyone's doing well today.
We're doing great.
Great. So let's begin with what's trending. Now, our first story of the day, the federal government, in collaboration with the National Space Research and Development Agency and the Space Exploration and Research Agency, has signed a memorandum of understanding to send the country's first citizen to space. This announcement was made by the Director General of National Space Research and Development Agency, Matthew Adepoju, at a press conference in Abuja on Wednesday. While details of the mission, including the launch date and selected astronauts, are yet to be disclosed, this initiative marks a significant milestone in Nigeria's 25th anniversary of space exploration. The collaboration is expected to open new avenues for scientific research and technological advancement, positioning Nigeria among countries actively engaged in human spaceflight. Of course, many Nigerians have reacted to this. Let's take some tweets. This is from Daniel. He wrote, "The Nigerian government has no business with space exploration or research. That's a misplaced priority. We have more pressing issues that Tinubu's government should be focusing on, from insecurity problems to unemployment and inflation. This administration is nothing but a big disappointment. Zero focus." Well, another tweet from Ben Murray Bruce, he says, "Congratulations to the Nigerian government for signing the groundbreaking MOU with USA's Sarah on human space flight missions. This is a monumental step towards advancing our technology and infrastructure. I am nominating myself, Ben Murray Bruce, to be the first Nigerian in space." Okay, that's funny from Ben Murray Bruce. I would anyone want to volunteer to be the first person to go to space?
I would like to be the first Nigerian to go to space.
Okay.
So really, see, I do not have any problem, with space travel. I do not have any problem. It's an advancement of science, and it's an advancement of the world. I remember very vividly in 2002 when I heard on my radio that the first African, Mark Shuttleworth, a South African, had gone to space. That story was greeted with a lot of fanfare. And when we go back to the space story, we'll remember the works of Major General Yuri Gagarin. The first man in space, before you had somebody in moon and Neil Armstrong saying one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. And you remember the dog, Sputnik. So since then, it's been a race between the Soviet Union and America for technological advancement and all of that. Some people will say, okay, it's a way to waste money and all of that. It's a dominance project and all of that. And we cannot also forget the speech of President Kennedy in Rice University, if my memory serves me right, that says, we want to go to the moon. We want to go to the moon and do other things, not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And because we've also seen the advancement from exploration of space. Today, a lot of people use high-speed internet, like Starlink. Elon Musk, you have to pay me for this promotion. Like Starlink. It's because people launch rockets to the atmosphere. But you see, the problem with Nigeria is the insincerity of how we do our own. We had NIGHCOM SAT-1, NIGHCOM SAT-2. The effects. Have we properly managed it? It would be a good one. Look at Richard Branson. Set up a company, Virgin Galactic, to be able to take people to space. Space exploration will be the next big thing. I'm excited that Nigeria is going. But why people are saying it's misplaced priorities, because they know that probably when you look at what it will entail, if it will entail any money, it will not be properly managed. People will use it as a point of way to fleece people off things. And there's going to be corruption scandal riddling it. That's why people are talking in this negative form. It's not supposed to be a negative thing at all. It's supposed to be a welcome development, because exploration of our extraterrestrial space is also pertinent for our national advancement technologically. But it's because of the hitherto Nigerian issue. Because after you see this story now, the next thing you now see is they say XYZ money is being allocated to it. The next thing you hear story.
Correct.
But if it is properly done, All right? It's not supposed to be a big deal. And I totally welcome it, if it's properly done.
Okay, two different things. Space exploration, yes, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Nigeria jumped onto the bandwagon in 1999, and we earmarked a total of about $93 million to it. And it was under that program, after the establishment of the Nigerian Space Exploration Agency and Research Development Agency, known as NASDRA. We did NECOMSAT 1, NECOMSAT 2, NECOMSAT X, NECOMSAT 3. Anyway, about 5 that we sent into the orbit. Now, out of those 2, controversies, mismanagement of opportunities, one exploded, on its way back. Another one, didn't work. We still have 3 in the orbit. And what is this? What are these satellites supposed to help us with? Study the climate, promote agriculture. At the time, they were even saying they were going to use the satellite to track Boko Haram and rescue hostages. How they have gone with that, I do not know. However, this current one that Dr. Adepoju was talking about is not that. This is under the auspices of Blue Origin Shepherd Program. Blue Origin Shepherd Program. The program is to allow access, democratize access to space. And I think in 2022, a Brazilian, got the opportunity to travel. Now, what we're talking about now, this first Nigerian to go to space, is actually a private sector initiative by one Dr. Ann Aggie, who had recommended that Nigeria should also be given the opportunity under that Shepherd program, and recommended to SERA, which is a space exploration and research agency, to take somebody from Nigeria. So it's not as if this is government project. It's not as if it's something that is research based. So one individual will be chosen, and then he will have that experience like the Brazilian had in 2022. Now, it's not a question of maybe we'll begin an advocacy for somebody to go from Arise News. We can just send a reporter.
No, I've volunteered myself.
You have volunteered.
I would like to go. But what I'm saying about the government angle is, before you know it, line item of money will be planned around all of
this. Is a private sector initiative.
Even if it's private sector, Dr. Abati, that's the problem I have with this government. Even if it's a private sector, it might just be something very innocent by a private sector, and they will be able to fund it. Before you know it, you will hear extra money will come out one way. That's my grasp with this country. It's not a bad thing.
So now, on this next story, the presidency has strongly denied claims by activist Aisha Yesufu that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was disgraced by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa during his visit to attend Ramaphosa's swearing-in ceremony. Yesufu had shared a video on social media suggesting that Ramaphosa snubbed Tinubu by not shaking his hand, but the president has labeled her claims as false and misleading. A new video clip has surfaced showing President Ramaphosa and Tinubu shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries, contradicting Yesufu's claims. Presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga slammed Yesufu and her supporters as unquote pessimists, still reeling from their candidate's defeat in the 2023 presidential election. His tweet reads, Aisha and her unquote horde of pessimists are always quick to rush to judgment with any whiff of what appears to them to be negative to the leader of Africa's biggest democracy. More than a year after the 2023 election, in which their candidate came third, they remain incurably bitter and toxic, more than the supporters of the man who came second. Now this has been trending all around Africa. But for the record, first of all, yesterday at the inauguration, the first row was meant for South African kings and royalties. Now the second row was meant for dignitaries, because there's been a lot of controversies that why was our president on the second row and not the first row. Even in Nigeria, during the inauguration of President Tinubu in 2023, most presidents were on the third row. So that I just wanted to clear that up just for the record. Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up, Jennifer. I think it's important to state that you, irrespective of your personal or political leanings, an embarrassment to the president of our nation should not in any way be celebrated if it had happened. And now we find out that it didn't even happen. I think those who came out to celebrate that erroneously, even though it was false, ought to be ashamed of themselves. There's nothing we gain from, it's not just it wouldn't have been just an embarrassment to the president. It's a slap on the face of every Nigerian. So I believe that your politics can be different and all those things, but we must not forget the main thing. And this goes back to my to the situation around the analogy of the plane and the pilot. You might not like your pilot, but you will not pray that the plane crashes, because if it does crash, everyone is going to perish. So whilst you might want to give feedback, constructive feedback, criticize,